Hey everybody, and welcome back to the JG Show. Greg Curtin, one of my closest friends, is on the show today. He is a travel guru, a life coach, and someone who has just impacted my life so much since I met him. He's not in China at the moment, but I still got him on the podcast. So much I could say about this guy, but better listen up, and I hope I'll get him back on the podcast very soon. Here we go, guys.
John, what's going on, man? What's the deal? What are you doing here?
And then we've got our other contender, John Graham.
You nervous, man?
I'm not I wouldn't say nervous.
Hold out your hands. Let me see how steady they are.
这个是我哥 John， 我们今年在美国。
John Graham Hopper, an Australian businessman based in Shenzhen.
Today I'm with my good friend John Graham. He's a super good sportsman and just really good guy.
Woo, he's big! Woo, animal! Who does this, man?
Living the dream.
That, dude!
Boom, I'm recording. All right, ladies and gentlemen, finally, after months of waiting.
Years, actually. It's been years.
It's been years. Bro, it has been way too long. I finally got my homie on the line, Greg Curtin.
Hey, man, I've been wearing your shoes every day since we parted.
Yes, bro. So I've been keeping you on your feet, dude, haven't I?
Yeah, literally. My other ones fell apart, and I was like, hey, thank God I got these black Porsche shoes. And I wear them to business meetings. I wear them to the beach. I wear them everywhere. It's so funny.
Nice. Okay. See, that's good. Feels good that I'm still involved. At least I'm on your feet, right? I'm involved somewhat into your life.
Oh yeah, man. And people ask me about it. And they're like, "Are you a race car driver?" I'm like, "Yes," but that has nothing to do with the shoes.
I'm a retired race car driver. What do you want from me?
Yeah, I'm retired.
What do you want from me?
Yeah, I'm retired, man. When I got my driving license when I was 16, it wasn't fun anymore because it was legal, and I quit. But I was a big-time race car driver when I was a youngster, man.
Dude, I got so much shit to say, dude. I got so much catching up, bro. It's ridiculous. I think we're gonna have to do this some other time. Let's do a curtain session once a month. Let's at least try that, yeah?
Yeah, man.
I'm so busy, I can barely get a curtain session once a month.
Oh my gosh, dude. All right, so I need to know everything that's going on and everything that you've been up to since we last met. But before I do, dude, I want to tell you a funny story, yeah?
Yeah.
So get this, yo. I was up in Guangzhou for the weekend, right? So there was an event on Saturday. And on Friday, I had an event, and it was a speech. They wanted me to give a speech, a talk, right? And the guy who was giving the speech, was hosting the event, he came and fought in one of my fight nights. So I wanted to do him a favor. I said, yeah, I'll talk on your little event. Like, I was like, what do you want me to talk about? And he's like, talk about travel. And I was like, what? Like fitness, boxing, like maybe even business in China. I could talk about that, but travel, I don't know if I can do this. But I was like, sure. So anyway, I went up and I was talking. And the lady who was translating for me, she asked me a question as I was giving the speech. She's like, "Is there anyone that like inspires you when it came to travel?" And I said, "Bro, yes, I know Curtin, bro, Curtin." I was like, "Listen,"
Oh, damn.
I said, "Listen, this guy. This is exactly what I said in front of everyone. This was just on Friday. I said, listen, this guy. This is the guy, right? If you're in a conversation, you're saying, you're talking about world news." Or you're talking about you're talking about anything. Like, I went to Cambodia one time. Curtin's the guy that will go, oh, I've been there. And not only will he say he's been there, but he'll have a story. He'll have a story for that place. And at that story, you'll be like, whoa, that is incredible. And I said, listen, this is what everyone has their version of success, right? Everyone has their own, I want my car, I want all my babies.
Definitions, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I want to absolutely have that. be able to interrupt someone in any conversation and be like, I've been there and I have a story for it.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I do interrupt quite a bit. I do admit that. My apologies for anyone listening if I've interrupted you in the past. But yeah, man, I'm glad you said everyone has a different definition, because obviously I'm failing at the traditional definition of success. But I feel pretty lucky every night I go to bed. Even last night, I had some colleagues tell me that they wanted to make a movie about my life. And they've only known me a couple weeks. And they're like, man, like you met this minister and like you helped coach this actor. You were in a kayak on the Nile River. You're in a race car, in Kenya. You're like skydiving in Canada. I'm like, yeah, man, like this is just a normal life. I'm just taking advantage of opportunities that are in front of me. I don't think I'm special or different from anyone else. I just, choose my battles. But other people seem to see it as something different. And I'm like, well, that's cool. If you want to see it as inspirational, that's great. If you want to see it as like the antithesis of what you want to do, oh, that's cool too. But I'm glad I'm living mine, man. I'm glad I'm living it. The only sad part is I don't get to see people as often as I want. Like you, for example. I left Shenzhen in October. So that's been more than 6 months. Dang, that's been wow. That's been like 8 months. Almost 8 months, man.
So you got to tell me what have you been up to? You got to tell me. You got to give me the DL.
Well, gosh. Yeah, so for everyone, if anyone's listening, I don't know, maybe it's just John listening, but I busted my knee. I tore my MCL in June of 2018. And I had been planning on going to Germany for the summer, trying to make some money and testing out my new business, like my life coaching and writing business and stuff like that in Berlin. But I busted my knee up, and so I just kind of limped around China for a few months. I spent all the savings that I had, worked hard for. And I was going to take this ship from Spain to Brazil in December. Yeah, part of the Nomad Cruise, like a conference at sea. I was going to give a speech on that ship. So I had to get to Spain, right? So in October, November, I basically just hung out with my old friends in Europe, saying hi to people I hadn't seen in a couple years from Uganda, from USA, from Hong Kong, stuff like that. And then I get on this ship, and I got almost no money, but the ship was like all-inclusive. So drinks, food, lodging. Made some great friends, and these people really inspired me to trust myself. Because, John, when you met me, I was kind of working for other people. I was flexible, I was versatile, I was helping out other people's dreams. So I would be like the number 2 guy at a company, but the number 1 guy, it was his baby. Even little things like you would do fight night, and it's your thing, and I'm like, oh, it's cool. Maybe we'll do some marketing. Maybe I'll be a fighter. Maybe I'll try to help sell some tickets, whatever it is. And I was doing my whole life, helping out this, helping out that. And on this cruise ship, the people said, Curtin, man, you got a lot going on. You need to do your thing. Let other people help you do your thing. And I was like, whoa, I never thought about that. So in December, all of December, I was in Brazil with no money. I had like $130, I think, when we landed. And I spent a month in Brazil on like $130. It was crazy. Living on the beach, sleeping in a hammock. It was insane. But I started a Patreon. I started doing some writing. I got some money for doing some writing gigs for some friends. I did some speech stuff. Had New Year's in Rio de Janeiro. That was awesome. Almost missed my flight to Panama. It left at like 3 a.m. or something like that. But really nuts, really amazing people, and they've helped me since January as well. They're like, hey man, have you put out your first podcast yet? Hey man, have you written your first draft of that book? Hey, have you contacted that guy about a speech? And I went to see some family in like February and March in the U.S. So I hadn't seen the dad and the mom in, a long time. But then I was basically stuck in the U.S. with no money. And I had the diabetes, and the medicine's expensive here. And I was like, man, I really want to get back to China or Thailand. I was helping out a mutual friend of ours with a Kickstarter campaign, and he was in Thailand. And I was like, hey, man, let's live in Thailand together. But I couldn't afford a ticket to Thailand. I couldn't afford medicine to get me to Thailand. I couldn't afford to eat a few days to get to the airport before Thailand. And so I figured I'd just get a job in the U.S. for like a couple weeks or something. Came up to Chicago. I got a job on some boats. I'm an architectural tour guide on speedboats. And it's pretty nuts. But they're paying me well, and I'm making tips. I'm making good tips because of my stories and my international background. So I figured now I'll just do this job until like October. Summer season's finished. And then I'll head back out on a boat from Greece to Dubai. Same boat with those nomad people. And then I'm going to host my first conference, the first Curtin conference, little 2-day gig in Amman, Jordan in December of this year. So that'll be the first test of like, can I do it on my own? Can I host an event? Can I get people to be interested in what I got to say? And since you last saw me, I became a life coach. I've got my first clients. They basically came up to me and said, we want stories like you have stories. We want to know how you move to a new place and how do you dive into it right away? How do you get to know people so quickly? And I was like, cool, man, I can teach you that. And now we've moved on to philosophy and stuff. So it's been pretty colorful. I'm flying out in 2 weeks to London to speak at a work adaptability conference. I'm one of 4 speakers for the Unlearn conference on June 19th. So it's cool. It's like I'm making, I'm working 11, 12 hours a day on a boat, and then I'm being flown around the world to go to conferences. So it's pretty weird life.
Yeah, that's how it should be, dude. I think you're perfect for this. I think you're so good for this. Life coaching, yes, dude. Remember when we were talking, we used to have conversations back when you were over here, and a lot of it was all, I remember thinking the exact same thing. I was like, life coaching you could do, that's your thing. That could definitely be your thing.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is, John, man, it's nothing but perspective. So I'm not smarter than other people, right? What it is I'm just a sponge, and I've soaked up so many different like smells and flavors from other places that people can like, sniff my sponge and be like, oh, that's what I needed right there. And I'm like, yeah, take what you need from me. It's not suitable for everyone, but I got plenty of stuff for people, Like if you're a woman in her 40s going through a divorce, I can help you out. If you're 16 years old trying to get your first girlfriend and trying to get your first job, I can help you out. Like if your team just lost the championship and you missed the final shot or whatever, and your team's disappointed, I can help you out. Like I've been through all sorts of stuff, and my best friends have been older women, younger men, lesbians, gays, Jews, Muslims, Mexicans, Russians. Like, I've been with athletes, I've been with, bookworms. Man, like I can fit in, man. Like I pride myself on flexibility and being able to talk to anybody. So I'm not going to put you in a box. And I think a lot of people have a hard time finding that, because if they need life coaching or if they need just to talk to somebody, they don't want to pay a therapist, and all their friends have some kind of agenda, Like you break up with a girl and all your buddies are like, man, screw her, man, she sucks. You're like, that's not really what I need right now. Like I don't think she sucks. I wouldn't have been with her for a year if I thought she sucked. Like the relationship didn't work out. I want to talk to somebody about it. And, sometimes you need someone who's kind of an open book, and it's like, hey man, like you're going through some pain. It's legitimate pain, but it's not special. A lot of us have that pain all the time. Here's how we get through it. This might work for you, but might not. That's what they need. So it's been really gratifying after 15, 16 years of traveling around the world finally people are paying me to kind of help them out with real life situations. And they don't need me to have a PhD. They don't need me to have like 10,000 hours in therapy. They're just like, dude, talk to me like a person. You know, come have pizza with me. Come have a drink with me. Talk to me. We've been talking about addiction. We've been talking about smoking and drug addiction, porn addiction. We've been helping people out with, going away from their pets and their families and their siblings. It's been pretty cool, man. Like, it makes me want to share my life more. And I wish I didn't have to do it for money. Sorry, I can't take this call. I'm doing a podcast right now. I'm pretty busy. I'm doing a podcast in China.
Yeah, I'm doing a podcast in China. Sorry, can't take your call. Someone called you then, yeah? Yeah, it'll be some lady that's like, Curtin, help me. You know, I'm feeling bad.
We should put the phone call on the podcast. Like, who's this? It's John. What?
Yeah, you better take your calls. Don't worry. I'm patient. Don't worry.
Oh man, last night I made this mistake. I'm not so tech savvy, even though I worked in technology for years. Like, I got a new phone, right? Because I got a Huawei phone, and it got blocked, man. I got caught in the trade war. Yeah, man. We could talk more about that if you want. But I had this Huawei phone, and it wouldn't even pick up the Wi-Fi signal, like at Starbucks or at Dunkin' Donuts or nothing. And so, and I only got 2G. The provider was like, we can't even give you 3G. It's Huawei. It's blocked. I'm like, what? So anyway, yeah, it was nuts, man. I'll tell you more about some trade war stuff we're getting into. But I got a new phone in San Francisco last week. Some Chinese clients flew me out for a tech conference, and they got me a new phone. And so I didn't really know how to use it so well. And I haven't used Instagram very much. I should use it more often. But last night there was like a rap party at my house. The people on the ground floor, they host a lot of events. So I came home from work, and there was like this pretty good guy on the mic. He was pretty solid. He had songs about, like, hardcore songs about meditation. So it was almost like gangster rap, like Enlightened and stuff. But anyway, I wanted to film it. I wanted to film one of his songs and put it on Instagram because it was raining and there was this tarp over the stage, and I was up on the 4th floor. So basically, I was filming the shadow on the tarp, and it was cool. It was like you could see the microphone, you could see the guy's hands, and so I push a button, and I'm filming a video for Instagram, and all of a sudden, my ex-girlfriend and like my college roommate and all these people start like watching it, and it says they're following it live. I'm like, what? What's happening? You know? And sure enough, one of them is like talking to me. They're like, hey, man, where are you? And I'm like, how are you talking to me on the video? And he's like, you're going live right now. I'm like, what does that mean? I'm just filming a video. You know, I thought I was going to post it to like my moments or whatever it's called, my story or something, you know. And they're like, no, dude, you're doing a live video. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, man. Like, I'm confused. I feel like an old man using email for the first time, man. It was embarrassing.
So if next time you do a live broadcast, let me know. I want to tune in.
No, but yeah, anyway, so I don't know what the hell Instagram Live is. I do now, though, I guess. I'm trying. I got so much more, though. One of the guys from the ship, the Brazil ship last year, I sent him a bunch of photos, right? This guy's got like 100,000 students on Udemy. He's been doing online courses and like retreats and like master classes and all that stuff, mastermind sessions. And he's like, dude, Curtin, like, you got it, man. Like, you just got to put the pieces together. But you're sitting on a mountain of talent and opportunity. You got to just start hacking away at it. I was like, cool, man. I appreciate that. He's helping show me the ropes. So I sent him a bunch of photos from my past. There's one of you and me at the pool with, like, you know, some Russian girls, some Mexican dudes, some, like, you know, guy with a sleeve tattoo from Ukraine, whatever. You know, like just some people at the pool, right? And I'm there in my little tiny shorts, and you got your sunglasses on and all that. And I sent him some other photos from high school, from college, and all that. And he's like, man, like he picked like 20 photos. He's like, you got to show these to the world. Each one you got to tell a story. You can make a video for each one. And I'm like, dude, he's so right. He's so right, right? Because think about it. Like, you and I have stories that we don't really talk about, but other people might find them fascinating. Like the Latino versus Russian like gangs at the pool in Shenzhen. Right? Like, one day you go and it's all like Eastern Europeans. And then one day you go and it's all like Latinos, right? And they don't like each other. And so all you got to do is take a photo of you and your Russian friends, and then you take a photo with you and your like Latino friends, like Brazilians and Mexicans and all that. And then you post both photos on Instagram. And you have a link to some video, right? And on your YouTube video, it's you talking about like the Ukrainian folks and then like the Mexicans, and then some funny stories from the pool about like drinks falling in the water or some guy getting sunburnt because he passed out, whatever. And just talk about like the Chinese who don't understand like the Latino and the Russian thing. And then you just put the subtitles on in Chinese and English at the bottom. And boom, all of a sudden, you've got the Instagram, you've got the YouTube. You can even post the subtitles in a Medium article with the same photo used on Instagram. Now you've got people that read, people that watch video, and people that do photos on Instagram. And you've got them all connected to each other. And they're like, oh, dude, this guy John Graham, or this guy Curtin, man, he's in Shenzhen, and he's talking about, like, Eastern Europe. He's talking about Latin America. He's talking about Chinese. He's talking about these, like, crazy things that happen in day-to-day life that we don't have in London or Paris or wherever we're from. And so we didn't realize, like, how how interesting some of this stuff could be to other people. So I got to do a better job of posting this stuff out there, man, because when I talk to people one-on-one, it's so fun. It's like an adventure. It's like a movie. You know, we dig into stories, but no one else knows unless you meet me face to face. It's like this hidden world. So I got to do a better job of like shining the light on it, you know.
Yeah, because that's going to be your business, right? That's you. It's basically you sharing, always sharing. So man. Every way that you can share is that you got to be on that Instagram, Facebook, all the different mediums. You always have to constantly be updating because it's basically your business. You're in the business of sharing content, sharing information, right?
Yeah, it's like remember in the old, well, not remember, but you heard about in the old days those minstrels who would go from town to town playing music, and they would tell stories. So they would go to London to meet the king or queen. And then they'd travel around England saying like, oh, the majesty and then me and up and down and majesty, whatever. Imagine that guy without an instrument. It's like, wait, what is your job, You're supposed to go around sharing your experience. You're supposed to tell stories. You're supposed to be entertaining. You got to have an instrument, So I got to do a better job of that. I gotta wake up earlier, start posting some stuff, keep my writing organized. It's exciting though, man. You asked about what's happened in these last 8 months. Basically, mentally, I've decided I have to do this. I've decided I'm smart enough to survive. I'll always have a job making enough money to put food on the table. But with my core efforts, I need to start really focusing on, making me the best me for all of you guys possible, because I've started to get feedback from helping people. I would tell a story to a French guy, right? And I didn't even know him. I didn't know this guy. He was just in a crowd. I told a story to the crowd, and like 2 months later, the guy writes me an email, and he's like, "Hey man, I took your advice. I broke up with my girlfriend. It was a really bad relationship. And I took some time to myself, and I repaired the relationship with my father, and now I'm helping my father run a business." And I'm like, damn, that's awesome. You've totally changed your life in 2 months. And he's like, yeah. He said, I've been around the world. This guy's been to like 50 countries. He made a bunch of money in like Amazon drop shipping or something. So he's like a young guy. He's got a lot of money. But he wasn't happy. His relationships were bad. He didn't see his family. And now he's like, dude, Curtin, like you told me stuff that I'd heard before, but you said it in a way that made it connect to me. And I was like, oh shit. Like, oh, okay.
It's about saying the message in the right way for that person, right? Because all this information's out there, but nobody, you just don't listen to it unless it's spoken to you in sort of like your language, right? It's kind of how it is. It's learning people's languages, right? Their different way.
Yeah, exactly. And I know we had a conversation about way early on about those 5 love languages. Right? Actually, I think it might have been like our 3rd conversation ever, which is pretty funny. I think we were at the same pool. where we were talking about the Russians and the Latinos, and we were in like a group of 6 people, and 4 of the people went up to get like drinks or something, and you and I are just sitting there, and you turn to me, and you're like, "What's your love language?" And I was like, "What?" But no, and you were like. Mine's physical touch, and I was like, oh, mine's quality time, and I was like, all right, we can really have this conversation. I thought you were kidding. I thought you were gonna be like, what are you doing later? I was like, what?
That's it's not a question you ask everybody. You got it. That's not like for our listeners. You don't want to be asking someone that question when you first meet them. That's a little bit forward.
You know, it's like the 3rd time you meet somebody, it's like, hey, what kind of sun cream do you put on your arms? I'm like, I don't know, the regular kind. Oh, I loved it though. That was so fun. I wish people would have deeper conversations earlier, right? We're so addicted to this, like, not making mistakes and like having small talk. Like, oh, where are you from? What's your job? Do you like your friends? Of course I like my friends. What kind of question is that? Do you like music? Yes, I like music, you know. It's great to have those deeper conversations, like, especially in China. Like, why are you in China? That's a great question. Some people are there because they run away. They're running away from the world. Some people are there to feel better about themselves. Some people are there to, you know, be ambitious and try to fight the Chinese machine, you know, like, everyone has manufacturing problems, but not me. I'm going to move to China and learn Chinese, and I'm going to have, you know, perfectly, you know, streamlined manufacturing with no hitches. Like, okay, good for you. Go do that, you know. Deeper questions earlier on is great in the relationship.
That's right. Cut the bullshit right in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have that much time, man. Like look, I knew you from what, like 2016 until now. So that's only like 3 years. But already we feel like we've missed time, you know? There's not much time. Like, you got to make your time count. If you're talking to somebody one-on-one, you got to be 100% available right then and there, you know? Give yourself to that person. Don't be, you know, oh, we'll talk later. Oh, we'll do it next time. No, man, there might not be a next time. You may have to wait 8 months for next time. It's like, you got to do this shit, man. Do it now.
Do not waste time. I guess that's a big lesson for today's podcast. Don't waste time.
Well, and here's what I say to my clients, right? If you do waste time, do it on purpose. Like, you have to be intentional about your actions. That will save you so much stress, man. Because here's the thing. People today, they're bombarded with advice. They have audiobooks. They have paper books. They have seminars. They have, you know, oh, you should do yoga. You should meditate. You should be healthy. 4-hour body, you know, supplements. Wake up early. Go for a jog. Get a gym membership. Eat some carrots. There's so much pressure to do the right thing all day, all the time. You should network like this. You should keep a diary. You should blah, 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 right? But we don't give ourselves any breaks. And what happens is, if we don't do things intentionally, we end up doing a bad job at the things we want to do well in. And that's bad habits, right? What you got to do is you have to be intentional. You got to be like, all right, I'm going to wake up early 6 days a week, and one day I'm going to be sloppy. I'm just going to be sloppy. I'm going to wake up late. I'm going to eat chocolate. You know, like, I'm not going to check my email. Fine, man, but do it intentionally. Do it on purpose. And that way your body gets in the habit of doing what you plan on doing, which is great for your willpower, right? If you say, I'm going to wake up every day early, and you end up sleeping in once or twice, that's a hit to your willpower. That's you honestly saying, I can't do what I wanted to do. I'm a failure at my goals, right? I can't get to my goals. And that's bad. That's bad. So like you said, everyone has this like different way of listening. Everyone has a different definition of success. Everyone has a different method of connecting. Well, same with your goals. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. You got to be very, very aware of the results that you're getting. So if the pressure leads to worse results, take the pressure off. If the pressure leads to better results, keep the pressure on. You know, that's what I tell people. It's like, it's not about getting more goals or reading more books or going to more seminars. It's about honestly looking at your results and saying, man, I bought a dog, but my dog is sick and I don't have enough money to, help the dog. Well, maybe you shouldn't have a dog. I have a girlfriend, but, she only speaks Japanese and I don't speak Japanese. Like, okay, well, either learn Japanese or, have a different relationship. You know what I mean? Like the solutions are actually quite simple. It's just that people don't want to be aware of what's actually happening, right? You got to be able to admit that you might be wrong all the time. And then you'll find the solutions.
Yeah, that's right. So how about you? Something when you said, why don't we have deeper conversations? What would be a good way to try that out? What would be a good way to have it, what would be your advice for the world, people, everyone in the world? How do we have deeper conversations early on?
Well, I'm a big believer in not fighting human nature, right? You can't just say like, love everyone. No, that's not possible, right? So you gotta have deeper conversations within human nature. And that means people are going to be nervous at the beginning. They're not going to want to share. They want to keep their guard up. So usually what I do is I try to, I go first. I kind of show my vulnerability first, but I don't do it too much. You don't want to walk up to a stranger and be like, hey, I have AIDS. Like, what? You're like, oh, I'm being vulnerable. Like, no, like that's too much too quickly, right? But you gotta do something like, if you kind of know somebody and you want to know them better, like a colleague, all right? We're not talking romance. We're just talking two humans having a conversation. So if you have a colleague or a neighbor, somebody that you know, but you don't really know anything about them, right? Start with something kind of personal, kind of vulnerable, but invite the other person into the conversation. So for example, if it's a colleague, you could say something like, oh man, that last paycheck, that was just in time. I got that last paycheck just in time. And the guy's like, oh yeah? And you'd be like, yeah, I had to buy medicine for my father. He lost his insurance because he got a DUI or whatever, whatever your story is. And then instead of just being a sad story, you kind of invite the other person into the conversation. You can say something like, hey, have you ever realized that money isn't just money? Sometimes money means a lot more to some people at certain times in their lives. And invite them to think about it. And they'll be like, oh yeah, you know what? You're right. Money is money. But 2 years ago, when my daughter needed like a $10 bill, a 10 US dollar bill, because of they were doing a project on Alexander Hamilton, who's on the $10 bill. And my daughter wanted to take a $10 bill to class, but I didn't have $10. And like my bank account, I had like $80, but you get 20s if you go to the ATM. So I had to go to the ATM, get a $20 bill, spend some money so we could get $10 change. But the lady gave us 2 5s when she gave us change. Yeah. And it's like, oh no, like now I gotta walk around trying to find someone with a $10 bill who's gonna take my 2 5s. I gotta go to work in 20 minutes, and the pressure's on, and you're like, gosh, I just want a $10 bill, and all of a sudden, money is not just an exchange. Like this is important, Now you're having a conversation. You're talking about your father's medicine, and your colleague's talking about his daughter's $10 bill. Right? You can have a little bit deeper conversation. Then the money translates into value. Like, you guys realize, man, you and I work 45 hours a week. We get paid this much money. What else could we be doing with our lives? Like, oh, I wanna write a book someday. What about you? Oh, I want to open a basketball school for troubled youth. Oh, okay. Do you play basketball? No. But I like Kobe Bryant. Whatever. Like, that's how you start the conversation. Because deep down, seriously, John, deep down, we're all looking for more humans to trust. We'd love to have one more person that can listen to our stories, one more person that could help us out. We just don't trust the public. Like, we're not going to take a chance to be the first one to put ourselves out there. So if someone gives us the opportunity, ooh, yeah, a lot of people will take that. They'll be like, hey, man, I can trust you. You're cool. Oh, this feels great. This feels great. Let's talk some more. Let's get coffee. Let's get lunch. Come over. Let's have our kids play together. Come over on Saturday.
I like that. So it sounds so simple when you say it, though, right? That's good. I suppose that's what being a life coach is offering simple solutions to making people's lives better, right? Making the world better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't blame people because the world's a complicated place. And you know what? I think it's actually harder if you only grow up in one culture. Like if you're Vietnamese and that's all you've ever seen is Vietnam, it's actually hard to deal with stuff because you kind of think there's only one way of doing things, if that's your culture's way. And if that solution isn't working for you, you're stuck. It's tough. I think my advantage is that I've lived in places for years that have had very different solutions to the same problems. Like I lived in the U.S. for a presidential election. I lived in Uganda for a presidential election. I was in China when Hu Jintao left and Xi Jinping came into power. I was in the UK when David Cameron came in as prime minister. Like I've seen different countries change leadership, right? And they do it very, very differently. And the public has very different, expectations and fears. There were murders in Uganda, right? Opposition was getting murdered. The police and the military were smashing people with cinder blocks and just murdering them in the street. And these are caught on tape, smartphones and photos and all this. Whereas in the U.S., we get angrier than the Ugandans do, but they're not being murdered at the polling stations. It's like we're threatening each other's lives. Like we hate the Republicans, we hate the Democrats, but they're not dying. So seeing different perspectives allows you to say, wait a minute, whatever's the same between Sweden and China and Kenya and Mexico, that's probably human nature, right? But whatever's different between Sweden and the U.S., that's probably cultural. So you can kind of separate these things into, well, this is just how humans are. And this is actually because you're from Japan or Russia or whatever. So when someone from France comes to me with a problem, I don't give them French solutions. I give them human solutions. I'm like, hey, man, like I had a friend just like you in Myanmar, and here's how he handled it. And the French guy will be like, oh my gosh, that's so simple. I never thought of that. And I'm like, of course not, because you're thinking like a French person. You're thinking, you can't do this, it's taboo. You can't talk to your partner because that's not the way it is. You can't ask for help like this because that's not how French people are used to doing it. But in Myanmar, it's perfectly acceptable, it's perfectly normal, and it solves the problem you have. So it's kind of cool. Like I'm just this giant mirror reflecting different parts of the world, and hopefully you can find a solution somewhere in this big magical bag that I carry with me, like a Santa Claus of solutions. Hopefully, that's actually not. I'm going to use that Santa Claus of solutions.
That could be like a tagline. It could be Greg Curtin, Santa Claus of solutions.
I got to gain like 200 pounds now and get a beard. I like that. I got to write that down, actually. That's funny.
So any plans to come back to China at any point in the future?
Yeah, man. January. I should be there in January 2020. Possibly in December, but most likely January. Most of my stuff is still there, man. All the boxes that you helped me move with that wheelchair, those are all still in Shenzhen. Dude, yeah. all my that's like 85-90% of my stuff that I own in the world is still in China. My boots, my jacket, my books, my flags, the boxing trophy. It's all there, man. I've been living out of a one backpack since October. One little tiny school backpack. I've got your shoes. I've got your friggin' shoes. That's the only pair. Let's see. The job I got gave me a bunch of clothes because I work on a boat, right? So they gave me like rain gear and like boat gloves and all that. But yeah, man, it's like during the winter, I was like, where's all my winter stuff? It's in China. Like, oh no. But yeah, I'll be back in Shenzhen. We got to meet up. Hopefully I'll be doing my own thing, my coaching business and my writing. I've also got a tattoo company. I can share more with that in October when we officially launch.
Tattoo company. You're opening your own tattoo company. What do you mean?
Yeah, so we're not giving tattoos, but all I can say right now is that we'll be supporting the global tattoo community. We're going to start out with people with upper body tattoos. We're going to be helping them out with a few products that we're going to sell. And we're going to be launching our products in October at the Amsterdam Tattoo Convention, October 24th to 27th. So I've got a few Dutch partners, and we had this idea. I had this idea in December, right? We were sitting in a place called Porto de Galinhas in northern Brazil, having some beers on the beach. And I had this idea, and I said it. And then, conversation moves on. And this Dutch guy said, "Hey, Curtin, were you serious about what you just said? Like, is that a real business idea?" And I'm like, "Dude, that's a great business idea, but I don't have the money to start it. I don't have money to put into that." And he's like, "I do." And he's like, "I like your idea. I'll put money into it if you want to run it." I was like, "Oh, damn. Okay." So in December, we had this idea. We put together a small team of 3, and we've got a logo. We've got some animators. We're getting some. We're talking to a bunch of tattoo shops around the world. So hopefully by October, our first products will be ready, and we can share what it is. It'll be exciting.
Wow, dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna hook you up for free, man. You're actually a great example of one of our ideal customers. So we got to do some work on you first, but once we do that, I'll hook you up with a free product, and you can be one of our models.
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yes.
I got our first demo in the mail last month. I'm super stoked. I got it for me with my tattoo.
Fuck, that sounds awesome, dude. Yes. Yes, send me anything on this stuff. This sounds awesome, dude. I'm down.
Oh, dude, I'm so excited about it. I'm so excited. But there's a few projects. I'm helping out my dad and my uncle with a Shopify store. I'm doing some work for the Chinese, doing some PR work for a Shenzhen company. So hopefully I can, make a few speeches, get a few articles for them. I was in San Francisco last month. I'll be in, like I said, London later this month, making some speeches for some people. So, also, not to jinx it, but I'm interviewing for the Fringe Festival up in Edinburgh. I did a comedy skit on the boat in the boat to Brazil last year, and a girl from London, she liked it, and she put me in touch with a guy who does the interviews. So if he thinks I'm funny, he'll put me on one of the small stages. If he doesn't, then I won't. But I think that's pretty cool. Even just to be interviewing for it, I feel way out of my league. But I'm excited, man. Maybe there's a future in comedy. Who knows? But
dude, stand-up comedy is fantastic. If you really can make a group of people, a crowd, even like a small crowd. That's pretty much the as the creme de la creme. That's the high point of anyone who does speeches, because it's so difficult, right? To get a group of people to laugh. How do you do that?
I know, man. That's why this job now is kind of like perfect training ground. I get about 100 people per boat, and I got them for almost 2 hours. So I get on that microphone, and it's just me. It's just me for 2 hours. You got to be funny. You got to be entertaining. You've got to be informative, give them their money's worth, and you get tips. So the tips are a great way to gauge if you're doing well. You know, if you make like 10 jokes about, I don't know, guys cheating on their wives and you get no tips, it's like, oh, maybe that wasn't funny. Like maybe they didn't like that. And then you make 2 jokes about, somebody lighting a fart on fire, and you get like $50, and you're like, oh, they like that one. Okay. Like you just kind of learn. So this is pretty good proving ground. Like I said, I can't complain, man. There's a lot of stuff wrong in my life. There's a lot of stuff that I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm, almost 34 and still living like this or whatever. But hey, you got to take the bad with the good, because I also didn't ever expect to be on a podcast. I never thought I would travel the world. I never thought that I would speak different languages or play rugby. And like, I have all these blessings that, of course, I'll take the bad. Of course. Like, it's a small price to pay for all the amazing people that I've met and all the stories I have and all the opportunity that's still ahead of me. So, like, when people get upset, like, oh, man, my house is too small, my car broke down, I'm like, man, boo-hoo, man. Seriously, get over yourself. Like, if your whole life is defined by your car breaking down, you got to do something else with your life, man. Like, you got 24 hours a day, just like the rest of us. Go do something. Go meet people. Go be inspiring. Go get inspired. Go share your time with young kids. Help somebody. Go be a mentor. Go read a book. Or just spend 10 hours a day on YouTube, but at least enjoy it. Like, be intentional with your time. Do something that's going to, mean more than what your life currently means. So, yeah, anyone can do it. You don't got to be smart.
Wow, that's good. So, I mean, I got a good Greg. I got a good Greg question. This would be a good Curtin. To explore something in you in your life. What would you say was the most challenging thing you've ever faced?
Ooh, oh wow, that's good. More likely than not, I'm probably still facing it, and I just don't know it. But to answer your question in a nice, clean way, I would probably say probably the biggest challenge that I've successfully, I think, gotten through has been the recognition of the little voice in your head, right? We all have that voice that is happy for us when we win, but is also trying to sabotage us. Like, oh, just give up now. Come on, save your energy. Or like, oh, you're not good enough. Don't even try, right? Of course, we all used to listen to that voice. But for me, the biggest battle was understanding that it's okay. It's okay to lose to that voice sometimes. And that also gave me the power to beat it more often than not. And I also realized I'm never gonna block that voice out. It's not like you meditate for 2 years and all of a sudden the voice is gone. That voice is part of my life. It's going to be here till the day I die. And the challenge of kind of having him as a sidekick, it's kind of like bringing an asshole friend to a party. And like you're trying to impress a girl and you're trying to make a good impression on the host, but your asshole friend keeps doing dumb stuff. Like spoiling the beer and like, breaking stuff in the house and being loud. And everybody knows that it's your friend. It's like you can't pretend that you're not responsible for him. You have to get away from that. Life is not going to be fair and judge you for you. They're going to judge you and your asshole friend that you brought to the party. So you have to just come to accept that, right? And I think that challenge, it ruined me for so long. Like when I was in Austria, I was playing rugby, and I was getting better and better at rugby, right? I had played one game for the national side, or like a national select side against Hungary, and that was pretty cool. It's not officially a cap, but I like to think of it as the closest to a cap I'll ever get. I was like 23 years old or something. And anyway, I hurt my ankles pretty bad in the middle of the season, and I had to sit out like like maybe 8 weeks or something. So my team gets to the championship, and I'm healthy to play. And so the coach puts me in the starting lineup. And the national championship is going to be televised. It was sponsored by Powerade. We were going to have like a live commentary crew from like the national television station. It was in the national stadium, right? Or the Hohe Stadium in Vienna. And I was like, oh, cool. This is like my big stage. This is awesome. Like, I've been waiting 8 weeks to shine. This is going to be great, you know? And the captain comes up to me 3 hours before the match, and he's all sad. He's like, Curtin, I have some bad news. He's like, because you were injured when the playoffs started, our secretary forgot to put your name in the official team roster for the playoffs, which means we can't add anybody during the playoffs to the roster. So you're not allowed to play in the final. And I was like, what? And I was like, I thought they would just use the original list from the beginning of the season, right? Because I had paid my dues. I was a member of the team. I was selected to that select side to play Hungary. I was obviously one of the top players and all that. And they were like, yeah, but the secretary, she's not out she's just a girl who works in an office. She's not out on the field. She doesn't know who's who. And, and sorry, it was an administrative mix-up. So I had to watch the championship game from the sidelines, and I was fuming. Like, I was like punching the wall, and I was so upset. I knew this opportunity, it would be at least another year before I could get something similar and all that. And at that point, I was very unhealthy. I was trying to distance myself from the voice. I was like, this is not me. Like, I deserve this and that, and like I put in the hard work, and I'm a good player, and I'm gonna, blah blah blah. And when the voice would say things like, "You should have double checked. You should have made sure, instead of traveling to Turkey and Sweden, you should have made sure with the Vienna rugby team that you were fine, And instead of listening to that, I was like, no, like I'm not to blame. I'm this and that. And that's terrible. Like, I was so unhealthy. And that was 2008. So for years and years, it's been a struggle to get over that voice. Also, that helped me repair my relationship with my mother. During that same year, in 2008, still very unhealthy, right? Like, if she didn't call me, I wouldn't call her. If she didn't email me, I wouldn't email her. If she didn't send me a birthday message, I wouldn't send one to her. It was like a scoreboard, And nobody wins that way. So over the years, I've learned to kind of live with that voice and be like, okay, like, yeah, I'm going to be wrong. Okay, I'm the bad guy. I shouldn't have made that joke. I should have been more considerate. I should have been on time. I should have, remembered or whatever. And you just have to, just try harder. Like, I'm not going to be perfect, but be a better person this year than last year and make the small movements forward. Yeah, man, that's been a great accomplishment. And of course, there's more work to do, but I'm so happy that I'm not 20 years old again. I'm so happy I'm not 30 years old, because I was a much worse, person back then. Like, there's so much wisdom that comes from experience. And when I see an old guy in his 70s, I don't see an old crusty man who can't walk. I see a very seasoned mind. I see a very healthy mind, a guy who's been through a lot, and I respect that. So I'm trying to become that person. I want to be that old guy that helps out all the youngins, and like shares my stories and stuff, because it's so beautiful to learn these like keys, right? Keys to unlock certain doors in your life. And the more keys you have, the more options you have to walk through different doors. And when you're young, you still have all that potential, and that's a great feeling, man. Like, it's so good.
It's such a good way to actually look at things, yeah? It's very healthy.
Yeah. I mean, like, you took me to Australia a couple years ago, and I'd never been to Australia. And I didn't know anybody, down there. And from the first minute we arrived, it was like, oh, boom, here's an open door. Oh, tomorrow we're going to open another door. You're going to meet this guy. That's another door. Boom, boom, boom. I think we were there like 8 nights, and I slept in 7 different places. And then one night I just didn't sleep. I just stayed up the whole time. But it was crazy. It was like every night we were doing something different. Every night we're going to watch a UFC fight. Now we're going to go to the beach. Now we're going to go watch the horse race. Now we're going to go to an office party. It was like, man, this is great. This is how life could be for everybody. For everybody.
We all just take our opportunities, right?
Yeah. I think we get too scared. It's like you've got the same job for 10 years. It's very comfortable. And you want to tell your kids about something. You want to show off to your wife. You want to show off to your neighbors. But what do you have to show them that they don't already know? I work at Initech. Yeah, we know, man. You've been there 10 years. Oh, I have a grill in my backyard. Yeah, you bought it 4 years ago. You had us over last summer for a barbecue. Like, if you're not satisfied with your life, no one's going to change it but you, man. Like, you gotta get on that. That's your deal. That's you. That's on your to-do list, No one's your daughter's not gonna come home and say, Dad, I bought you a leather jacket and a motorcycle. Go learn how to ride. No, she's not gonna do that, like here in Chicago, motorcycle lessons are free. If anybody wants to learn how to ride a motorcycle, you just show up and say, sign me up for the free class. They give you a helmet. They give you a bike. They give you instructors, right? They have flexible hours. Dude, you can do it. Like, there's no excuse for people not getting what they want. Especially with the internet, man. Oh my gosh. You can meet people that'll help you. You can get information. Like, seriously, the time for excuses is almost finished, man. Like this podcast, it didn't exist last year. And now it's here. So you had Simon on as your first episode. I talked to Simon. We played rugby together. We've been at tournaments. He was selling cider at like the food and drink expo. I was there buying cider. I was like taking photos for him. Like, hey man, come drink some cider from Ping Dynasty. Like, it's delicious. It's got a sweet taste. Yeah. Like we're helping each other and people are helping each other. Now he's on your podcast. His message is out there. Like, there's no excuse anymore. There's no excuse. And I wasn't happy with my results. And I realized I'm the one that has to change. Like, no one's going to help Curtin. Curtin's not going to get some guardian angel that just flies down and here's a successful book. Put your name on it. No, I got to write that thing. I got to edit it. I got to publish it. I got to market it. I've got to travel the world selling it. I've got to push it. Yes. And it feels good, man, because deep down, nobody wants to be handed success. We all want the feeling of earning our success. And sometimes we mistake the glory for the hard work,
Yes, totally agree, dude.
Speaking of hard work, did you see that Luis fight with Joshua?
Yes, what an upset, yes? What an upset.
Yeah, man.
That's crazy.
Oh, my God. Oh, the third round, man. Oh, my God. When Luis went down, and then he got up, and the very next, 5 seconds, Joshua was just laying into him. And he hit him again. I don't know if you guys remember, but Joshua was pounding into him. He hit him again. I think it was a left. And Luis's head went like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I was like, oh, this is over. This fight is over in the next 20 seconds. But 20 seconds later, it was Joshua going down. I was like, what? Oh, my gosh. That was insane.
Joshua going down. Yeah, it switched. It changed over.
Insane.
Yeah. My God.
And it's impossible right now with our technology, but I wish we could have recorded somehow what was going on inside Andy Luiz's head in those 20 seconds or those 30, 40 seconds, because that is human nature that we can learn from. That is some of the best parts of what being a human being is, right? He's the chubby shorter guy. He's less athletic. He's the underdog, the heavy underdog. You're right. No one's ever seen a Mexican heavyweight champion ever. Anthony Joshua is unstoppable. He's preparing for Wilder. All this talk about the future and all that stuff. Luis goes down, right? He's down just like everyone expected, right? Referee says continue. He gets hit in the face again. what is going through Luis's mind? What is going through his mind? Because as spectators, we're just fitting the narrative. We're like, oh, you're going to lose. This is it. You're not going to survive the round. Ooh, I just got punched in the face. That really hurts. He's probably going to beat me, right? That's what we're thinking. That cannot be what he was thinking. No way. Because of what he did. I want to know exactly what he was thinking when he got hit in the face after he got back up. Because, like, we could learn a lot from that. If we could take 5% of that and put it in our own lives, man, like, we'd solve so many of the world's problems. It's these mentally strong people that we need to be learning from. It's not the most beautiful people. It's not the strongest people. It's not the richest people. It's the mentally strong people, which sometimes can turn into money, of course, and physical strength. But if we could find those mentally strong people and just pick their brains, like, how do you go through a failure? How do you go through a breakup? What do you do when you step in dog shit? Do you clean your shoe or do you just keep walking? Like how do you handle that stuff? Because I would love to spend the rest of my life just learning from people like that. That would be awesome. I would love that.
Dude, that's awesome, yeah. That's fucking so cool. It's so good to connect again and get you talking about all this stuff.
Yeah, man, it feels awesome. You're like my doctor, Every time there's something wrong, I go to you and you're like, "Hey, just take this pill." And I'm like, "Oh, I feel so much better."
I was going to say that about you. I was going to say you're now the life coaching, some of the stuff you've been saying to me right when we were in Shenzhen together. It really helps, dude. It really, really helps.
Well, yeah, what I liked about you is that you were very upfront. Again, you didn't waste time. If you had a problem, right? Maybe nobody knew about it because on the surface, John Graham was hosting a successful event with like 3,000 people. John Graham was in the gym lifting more than anyone else. John Graham was, at the pool surrounded by, attractive men and women smiling and laughing. And then when it was like 8 p.m., if it was just the two of us, you'd say something like, "Hey man, like, I don't know, like my brother needs help. I wish I could help him, but he's far away and I don't know how to help him," or something. And I'm like, "Oh shit. You've got problems like the rest of us. You need someone that you can talk to. You need someone with solutions. You need someone that's going to help you out with stuff." And it can't be those pretty people at the pool, right? It can't be the people at your event because they're looking up to you. They need you to have all the answers. They want you to have, the perfect Teflon life. So you can't show your vulnerability to them. No way. Like, that's not how human nature works. You got to go to people that you trust. You got to go to people that are going to respond with something of value. So every time you would trust me with that situation, I would take it seriously. And I was like, "Oh shit, he needs me to, have the best thing possible that I could say. Like, do I have something helpful for him? If I do, I owe it to him. I owe it to him to say it. If I can't help him, I'll tell him, like, dude, I feel you, but I don't know what to do. Sorry." But I love that. I love that, we can kind of have different lives. You can be the guy who has all the answers until you don't, and then you can look for your own answers. I can be the world traveler until I get sick of it, and then I settle down or whatever. So it's beautiful, this kind of these relationships that you can have if you're honest with each other. Because everybody needs something.
Yeah, and you're up front right at the beginning. Don't waste time, like you said. Right?
I mean, I don't get any satisfaction from lying to you or cheating you or making you believe something that's not true. What would be the purpose of that? Like, that's just a big waste of everything. That's a waste of time and talent and everything. So I love to be legitimate. I love being honest. And that way I can tell who's who, If I put myself out there and 10 people treat me like crap, but you treat me well, I'm like, "Oh, okay. He's always going to treat me well because he has no reason not to." Like we've been up front since the beginning. So it feels really great. And I wish more listeners could go out there and be real with more people in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting real. getting real and getting real right at the beginning, right?
I mean, we have like virtual reality now, but we need to start with regular reality. You know, like too many times we don't even live in regular reality, let alone augmented or virtual reality. You know, which is fine. Which is fine. We got to admit that we got to work on it, and then we got to get to work. So I love these journeys, and like my first coaching client, we had like a 3-month contract, and it finished, and he's like, dude, I want to keep going. Like, I don't want you to help me with the same problems. Now I got different problems now, but let's keep talking. Let's keep talking. So I'm like, cool, dude. I'm up for it if you're up for it. You know, there's no point of ending it, right? We have a nice conversation. Life moves on. So it's a great relationship, and I hope people can find what they need out there, man. There's billions of us. There should be somebody with a solution you need.
That's right, bro. Awesome, dude. I want to say thanks for getting online. Yeah, thanks for getting on the call, getting on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks to the JG show, man. I'm trying to spread the word in the U.S. about you.
Yeah, dude. I'll package this all up. You can send it out. Tell everyone to listen. Get on it, dude.
Nice, man. Yeah, and we'll have to do like a regular call, not recorded, sometime before I get back to Shenzhen.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, because I want to know when the dates are, what the details are for the Jordan event you're doing.
Yeah, me too. I got a call with a German guy who's in charge of the ship, and he's going to help me out with it. So I'm going to take his advice on the dates. It'll be in the second half of December. So like, you know, in maybe 16, 18, 19 or something like that. But yeah. Shenzhen. I was going to say something about China.
January, right? January's you coming over.
I got to get a new passport. That's what it is.
Yeah, and let me know about the tattoo business, how all that goes. That's something.
Oh, yes.
That's exciting.
Yes,
that's exciting, dude.
Yes, I got to try to get you your product before October.
Yes. Oh, that'd be so fucking cool, bro. Yes, dude. So good to connect, yeah. All right, homie. It's late. I got to hit the hay.
Indeed, man. Beautiful. Yeah, that's right. It's later for you. The sun's just coming up here. Have a good week, buddy.
You too, dude. I miss you, man. Shit, I really want to see you, dude.
Yeah, I miss you too. I'm going to go smell your shoes.
All right, brother. I love you, and thanks for being on the show, dude.
All right, see you. See you, John.
Cheers, bro.